Phenomenology of social media body, mind, and screen phenomenology studies our lived experience, how things appear to us in consciousness, as Merleau-Ponty taught. Perception is never a disembodied head process, but always rooted in our embodied lived body. In this view, even abstract acts like scrolling or liking on social media are bodily engagements with the world more recently. The mind is embodied, embedded, enactive, and extended. In other words, our thinking arises through our bodies, acting in the world embodied and acted, within a rich environment embedded, and even stretched into the world via tools extended. These ideas invite us to ask, how do everyday gestures on social media, scrolling, tapping, sharing, double tapping the Instagram, like reshape our sense of time, space, and presence? At stake is our lived sense of reality, as one study explained. Phenomenology aims to describe the structures of human consciousness. In the digital age, our perceptual field includes screens and feeds. Social media promises to bring the world closer together and collapse distance. An illusion that a mediated experience is not mediated. Ludmila Lupinacci observes that tech companies boast we'll feel present, like we're right there, even as their very business model depends on keeping us glued to our screens. To untangle this, we will explore thematic dimensions of the social media life world. Each segment below applies phenomenological and 4E ideas: swiping, tapping, double tapping, and sharing. We will draw on Merleau-Ponty's insights into the body and tech, as well as 4E thinkers Clark, Noe, Thompson, etc., and concrete examples from Instagram, TikTok, and other platforms. In each case, how does the gesture feel? How does it alter our sense of time, space, or our own body? 4E cognition, mind in the world. Cognitive science. The 4E framework holds that cognition is embodied, embedded, and acted. Thinking involves our whole body, not just the brain. It depends on environmental context. It arises through active engagement, and it can spill out into the world via tools. For example, when you map directions on your phone, you literally drive by the phone's voice direction. That voice is part of your navigational cognition. As philosopher Andy Clark puts it, a smartphone can serve the same functional role as brain memory. We offload phone numbers, directions, even facts onto our devices. We often answer yes, of course, when asked if we know the time, only to glance at our watch or phone. Our minds tell time in concert with our devices in this way. The phone becomes part of the cognitive system. For extended mind theorists, there's no sharp border between you and your phone. In many tasks, 4E thinking is a family of ideas. We can bullet its core points here: embodied. Cognitive processes are rooted in the bodily senses and actions. Perception and thought literally come through our embodied engagement with the world, not as disembodied computations inside the skull. Embedded cognition always happens in a specific environment or context. Your smartphone is part of the ecology in which you act. The algorithms, notifications, and social context of apps are not external distractions, but constituents of the cognitive situation. Enacted, we know and think by doing. On social media, action, scrolling, swiping, typing, and perception loop together. We move our fingers. There is no private view on the screen. The screen content exists because of our actions on the interface. Extended tools become part of the mind. Our phones, apps, and even the internet itself act as external resources that continuously reshape our mental processes. In what follows, we will see how simple acts like a double tap light are really embodied action in a digitally extended life world. In Camille Kataba's hide-and-seek photo series, Disembodied Hand, Merleau-Ponty famously noted that when a blind person uses a cane effectively, the cane becomes part of an extended perceiving mind. The blind person does not perceive the cane itself, but the world at the end of the cane itself. In that moment, the cane is incorporated into the body's schema. By analogy, when we scroll or tap on our smartphones habitually, the phone recedes from our awareness. We may feel as if we are in the feed, not seeing the phone at all. This embodied incorporation is seen vividly in Kataba's work and other art. Wired magazine describes hide and seek as showing disembodied hands, all scrolling double tap. In these surreal images figure above, no human face or form is visible, only hands and phones hovering in real space. This dramatizes a common everyday phenomenology sitting on a couch or at a cafe. We do not perceive the phone in our hand so much as we perceive the curated social media world. It displays in Merleau-Ponty's terms. Every swipe or pinch feels like an immediate bodily action, not merely a button press. Even simple gestures like double tapping an image are meaningful touch events. They are tactile, muscular acts that register emotion. I like this. Yet they are divorced from any physical object other than the smooth glass of the screen. Phenomenologists would say our gesture is a form of touching and touching oneself, our finger and eye and mind. We feel each tap with our finger, but the response, a heart icon, accounted like, is virtual. The significance of the action is not in the fiber of the phone, but in the intercorporeal social signal it sends. The app shows a heart on someone else's post. In this way, the gesture itself enacts a social connection, but phenomenologically, one might note how detached it can feel, like the image on screen is above us, in a different plane. Yet we reach out and touch it with our finger. It highlights how our body schema now extends into digital layers. Importantly, this habituated use can conceal the world around us, as one account notes, even in a room with friends or family. Being in the presence of actual others does not prevent us from withdrawing from the social world into the worlds given to us. We may mindlessly scroll through Facebook, absorbing cute pictures or sensational headlines. The smartphone world is rhythmically pulling at our attention, even when we'd rather focus on here and now. Merleau-Ponty's notion of the habitual body is instructive. Our bodies fall into patterned habits. Automatically retrieving the phone from pocket becomes an almost unconscious motion, an extension of our hand. As one writer puts it, I know my smartphone distances me from what is present, but my hand also knows where my phone is. This embodiment of the habit means the device can drag our consciousness, the extended mind, and offloading memory beyond immediate perception. Social media also reconfigure cognition itself by externalizing memory and attention, according to the extended mind hypothesis, Clark and Chalmers. If something outside plays the same functional role as an internal process, we scarcely memorize phone numbers or directions anymore, because we intuitively trust our smartphones to recall them. Philosopher Andy Clark explains that a smartphone, we don't need to use our brains to remember phone numbers because we always have our smartphones with us. We remember things by searching the web or consulting notes. And since social media and apps constantly rewire information, even our knowledge of current events or friends' lives is mediated by the phone. The mind is thus extended into networks and clouds. One interesting consequence is a changed sense of time and temporal orientation. Extended cognition implies that timekeeping, planning, and even social rhythms now involve the device. For example, as Clark notes, in doing so, we implicitly treat the person plus phone as knowing the time. The temporal gap between question and answer has shrunk to a phone lookup. Similarly, our waking day is punctuated by the cycles of notification beeps and screen checks. These external alerts scaffold our attention and dictate our pacing in ways we scarcely notice. In short, our phone and its social media apps feel like an extension of our mental life. This can be empowering. We're always on top of a stream of information, always connected to memory banks of others, but phenomenologically, it can make our own experience feel fragmented across devices. We live partly in a digital second life, where our cognition plays out the boundaries of our present are blurred. Am I experiencing now on the beach, or now in the newsfeed? I'm swiping through. This extended cognition perspective shows how deeply intertwined our minds and social media technologies. Time perception and the endless scroll. One striking way social media reshapes experience is through a warping of time. Phenomenologists note that time is not just clock tick. It is lived. Each scroll through a feed creates a flow of events that can feel endless or addictive. Many users describe losing track of time, just one more swipe, as they consume an algorithmically ordered stream of content. This is partly due to embodiment. Our thumb unconsciously flicks. Our eyes flicker up and down the screen. The interface is designed to be transparent and frictionless, a relevant psychological idea here is dopamine scrolling or doom scrolling, the intermittent reward of new likes or content triggers, brain reward loops, encouraging us to scroll longer for phenomenology. Each short video or image is a mini event. A succession of them can stretch what seems like a brief half hour into an hour. Merleau-Ponty might say our live time becomes tied to the rhythms of the medium when engaged. We live in an accelerated feed time, where moments melt into each other. Yet at other times, the feed stands still, no new posts, causing impatience and the realization that real time has passed unobserved, thus the qualitative texture of time. Its felt speed and fullness is being changed by the media scroll. Similarly, notifications create a tense waiting time when we share something online. There is a gap until likes or responses come back. Even clicking share launches us into a short anticipatory period over weeks. As platforms count likes in real time, especially on TikTok or Instagram, we feel an almost gamified sense of time. The race for views and hearts has us checking our phones repeatedly. In sum, scrolling and tapping punctuate and distort lived time. Our attention is constantly broken into micro-stories. Space and telepresent social media also remaps our spatial experience. Instagram boasts of bringing you closer to the people and things you love. WhatsApp of communicate anywhere without barriers. And Facebook pledges to bring the world closer together. These platform rhetorics invoke a new virtual space that we inhabit. Indeed, we routinely experience people as co-present via text, voice, or video chat. In the 4E view, the world that matters to our cognition is precisely this augmented. Zuckerberg's vision of feeling like we're right there with people no matter how far apart is seductive, but often what we feel is not fully there. There is always a screen, a mediation. When we video call someone, we see their face on a flat panel. Their voice comes through speakers. Our bodies remain here, in our chair or train. Even as our mind is drawn into the conversation, we may feel close to the other person, but we also feel an absence, not least because we know physically they are a world away. Merleau-Ponty's notion of perception stresses that full presence involves our whole body, the eyes. A video chat only partly enacts that. Moreover, platforms designed to make us feel near can have opposite effects. By curating idealized images and lives, they can heighten a sense of separation. Scrolling through friends' feeds in one place. Anthropologist Natasha Schull, cited in Lupinacci, warns that corporate promises of closeness. In reality, our mobile devices mediate presence in paradoxical ways. We are together through the device. This tension appears starkly in art and film. In Ingrid Goes West 2017, the screen opens on a close-up of an iPhone, a disembodied thumb scrolling through a series of wedding photos on Instagram, double tapping automatically to like each one. Then it cuts to Ingrid's face. She is glued to the screen, eyes bloodshot and tearful from its glow. Or emotional drama in phenomenological terms. Ingrid's lived space is a dark room, lit only by her screen, and her lived time is nights lost to obsessive scroll. The double tap, a simple gesture, has visible bodily effects: strained eyes, loss of sleep, emotional fixation. Her digital co-presence with the Instagram persona has deconstructed her real presence in the world. Social gestures and shared life beyond presence and time. Social media modifies our basic gestures of communication. These are new forms of social touch. They all carry phenomenological weight. Each double tap on Instagram is a little offering of approval in Heideggerian terms. It is a disclosure of value directed at another person's image or post. But it is also a very quick, almost unconscious gesture. The 4E approach helps here. This action is embodied. We physically tap. Enacted, we do something in order to change the social state of affairs. And extended, it relies on a digital infrastructure to have any effect on the target's experience of attention. We must also consider the feedback loop between user and platform. Media theorist Georg Fingerhut notes that modern social media systems are enactive. They respond to our actions and even our physiology in real time. For instance, every time we scroll or linger on content, the algorithm learns what engages us, and it modifies what it shows next. This responsive feedback is literally built into the system. Our tiny gestures, a tap, a long hold, A swipe sends signals, the system thinks and replies with a new arrangement of content. In effect, we become co-creators of our own media environment, or as Fingerhut describes it, the viewer the unconscious author of their media content. The media texture is dynamically shaped by our embodied input. This reciprocal dance has consequences for experience. First, it can intensify presence. A meme or news story arrives just when we were thinking about it, however. It can also heighten anxiety or compulsion. Knowing that every tap changes what appears next makes the interface seductive and sometimes unnerving. We start to anticipate the feedback and performativity, crafting our posts for maximum double taps. Lastly, consider sharing. When we post a photo or tweet, we are extending our body into social space. Merleau-Ponty. Our images, words, and gestures in emoji are fragments of our embodied being reaching out across the platform. But unlike face-to-face communication, we have only a limited set of gestures. Likes, emojis, quick comments. This may flatten subtlety, but also create new forms of expressiveness. For example, tapping the heart icon on Instagram is itself a bodily gesture of affection. Even as it is mediated through an app icon, the meaning of that tap is learned and shared socially. A gesture that can spark a real emotional response in the recipient. The conclusion, reading Phenomenology in the feed, drawing all this together. A phenomenology of social media shows how everyday digital gestures fundamentally reshape our sense of world. We see that time feels different, faster, more fragmented when every moment can be indexed and scrolled. Space feels different, compressed, global yet remote when a tap can connect us across continents. Our sense of presence shifts between bodies and screens as social media promises closeness. They are grounded in real bodily habits, contexts, and interactions. Our thumbs become tools of perception and communication. Our eyes trade real vistas for virtual feeds, and our mind extends. Throughout Merleau-Ponty's legacy is visible his insight that our habits and body schema determine how we inhabit the world, applies directly to smartphones as well as cane. Just as he showed us that a cane can become transparent to the blind user, we now see that a phone can become transparent to us. Yet when it abruptly calls attention, a shattered screen, a notification ping, the frictionless gestures, the intrusive alerts. In sum, social media crafts a new life world. Ourselves and others appear through the glowing interface. As philosopher Jan Slauby suggests, we experience a hybrid reality, one foot in flesh and blood environment, one in digital stream. The task of phenomenology is to describe what that feels like and what we do with that altered feeling. By focusing on scrolling, tapping, and the lived body, we can see more clearly how deeply these technologies are changing the just getting along of everyday life. They invite us to reflect on whether we are truly present or always a bit elsewhere, and whether our extended tools are serving us or seizing us. Sources: foundational phenomenological ideas, Husserl, Heidegger, Merleau-Ponty, inform this analysis. The 4E framework and extended mind arguments, Clark and Chalmers, Varela, Noé, and others, show how cognition flows into world and divide. Social media phenomena are illustrated with studies and commentary on smartphone use, artistic works and films depicting digital immersion, and media theory on telepresence and enactive interface.